flicks me a bad body. So, it's another one, yeah. It's a full screen, yeah. Oh, it's another one, yeah.
Yes, what's good, fight fans? Hard Talk USA is back, and welcome to tonight's show. Partnered with our good clothing apparel partners, D-Rock. Check them out in the website and type in iBoxingHub 24 into the promo code and enjoy 40% off any of your transactions. There's my good mate Jam's Boxing Chat and his new D-Rock apparel there. As long as Joseph Parker, who else did we say? Johnny Nelson, of course, the great Johnny Nelson. So it's a growing brand, and please show your support. My guest will be arriving anytime soon. So in the meantime, I'll get the socials and that out of the way. It is Rachel's Corner, and this is iBoxingHub. Right there. There's iBoxingHub. And this is where we come 7 days a week, 8 shows a week, 2 on a Friday. We have to cram them in. We're getting busy, and there's more to come. We got Monday's Green Diamond Boxing Show with our good compadre, Aisha. All the fab interviews with Aisha and Green Diamond Boxing. On Tuesdays, it's the Stay Away Den Show with our good mate, Abbas and Ray. Them two good boys. We got Wednesdays, the Boxing Roundup. Thursdays, the R&R with our good friends, Ra and Rico. Big up Rico. He'll be joining us very soon. The No Smoke Sports journalist, ringside reporter, Space King. Oh, the man's so busy. You know, it's an absolute honour to sort of have him on the show tonight. And of course, Friday's the crossover show with Abbas. He does the MMA. Misfits, all that type of boxing. So if you're into that, that's the show for you on a Friday. Obviously, you've got my show, Hard Talk. We're bi-weekly, and this show tonight is all about Hard Talk USA. In the next 2 weeks, I'll be starting my interviews of boxers worldwide, starting off hopefully in America for a special interview. You'll be all mildly surprised and very surprised, and hopefully you'll tune in for that interview come 2 weeks today. But there's a lot on the plate here. And don't forget, guys, you can find iBoxingHub on Twitter, Instagram. We've got our website, Spotify, obviously Twitter. Like and subscribe. Get us to 1,000 subscribers. That's when the real stuff happens. But in the meantime, we are bringing you 8 shows a week, possibly more in the pipeline coming soon. We're growing, we're expanding, and the people love. You're going to put your comments down, any questions you want to ask the lads when they come in, throw them at us, and Al Heyman in the back there will throw them up for me as we go along. But it's all good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. A packed theme tonight. The theme is Riyadh season continues. We've got the August the 3rd show coming up for Riyadh season. We just had one last weekend. We'll hope to talk about that when the lads come in, the 5v5, the aftermath. What their predictions moving forward. Queensbury undefeated, magnificent, invincible at this minute in time. I've seen tweets about Boxer maybe giving a 5v5, but that would just be another whitewash in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. But so much to look forward to, and what a month of boxing we've just had in May. You know, you had the 5v5, you had there's 1-2 weeks before that, Usyk and Fury, of course. for the undisputed. Alexander Usyk, possibly the greatest boxer, a heavyweight boxer of the 21st century. Not going to get into it before that. Too much to happen. So you just put that picture back up there. There's the top 10. There's the three protagonists: Inouye, Crawford, and Usyk, and a few more are chasing their tails in that ranking. Dimitri Bivol has a chance to enter that fray once he goes undisputed, which I probably think that's going to happen sometime soon. But again, we'll talk about it when the boys get here. It's Friday night. Some have been out, some are partying, some are working. Already, we've had one guy's had to be called into work. It is every day. Real life comes first. You all know that. But big up to Jam's Boxing Chat in the gym. My good friend Jam's there, always a supporter. And big up Boxing Media Hub, who Jams is a partner in, and go and check them out as well. This is where it needs to be on a Friday night. Certainly is, because the hot topics are hopefully going to be coming here tonight. Jams Boxing Chat. I was going to ask Neutral, what do you think about the possibility of Wardley v Clark 2? With the Wembley headlined by Adrian. I mean, does he mean he's now getting with Ben Shalom? That's a good question, Jams. That's a very good question, and you've got to appreciate that Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark, they gave us such a great fight that night. Big up Shy 505. Did you check out the 505 watch along watch party in London? The founder of 505 watch parties. My goodness, 3 sold out venues. Just incredible, and it's a growing brand, and she supports my growth as well. Thank you very much to Shy. Always a pleasure, dear, to support you in everything you do. And forgive me for not being at the last one, but I will be at the next big 505 watch party, representing iBoxingHub, and we'll get that on as well. But for now, we have one of our special guests is coming into the studio, and that will be Remy's Corner Boxing Talks. If you don't know Remy, where have you been? Remy's one of the 2 biggest, I would say, space kings of US boxing talk, and this guy is an absolute legend, and he'll be joining us any second now. And check them out on Twitter, check them out on YouTube, Instagram. He's there. Are you there, Remy?
Yes, sir. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, big man?
Appreciate that intro too, man. I really do.
You've been to your takeover, man. You know it's all about. You're part of it. This is what we do. We bring the fans closer to the boxing world that was previously, held in the hands of the mainstream media. And what a bunch of idiots they are. Forever had too long and had too much to say. But now technology has brought everyone together. And I think we actually bring more realism to the boxing, to the boxer, and we provide that comfortable environment where they can talk, Remy, where, certainly from listening to your spaces, that's what I found.
Most definitely. And a lot of them end up coming back to the spaces just to talk with us about random things too. I think overall it's becoming like boxing is going from being super niche to people kind of seeing where, like, the casual fans and the people who are like hardcores can meet in the middle and become, more in tune with each other. And we almost need to educate them. And that's what the old media did. They were gatekeepers. They're always complaining about what's going wrong in boxing. I hate that. That shit is annoying to me. It's like people always complaining. We get fights made. People ask for fights. We get them. Then they're complaining about the next fight immediately after. Like, let's sometimes be grateful as fans. The sport does give us good things too. Like, we know we get the blackouts too, but I just like to, think about the good side every so often too.
Was you on Matt's Space there the other day when he had Paul Magno talking about the state of boxing and
No,
how?
I was pretty busy that day.
Right.
I
I'll bring you up to speed very quickly. Paul Magno is a very well-known boxing journalist in the United States, but he's very, let's say, he's an outspoken, individual, and he doesn't gain himself many favors within the US media. However, he said something very interesting, Remy, which, upon reflection, really struck home, and that was that boxers need us more than we need them. And the more I was thinking about that, the more I was actually agreeing with him, because I've been listening to other professional boxers who've come onto your spaces, certainly the ones that you've interviewed. They're always appreciative. And like you said, they come back and they form a special relationship with you, something that mainstream media just simply cannot provide.
Yeah, and I think also like we bring more relatability because it's not so like I think it's a midpoint of like, of course we're still kind of like boxing nerds to a degree. Like we know about the ins and outs of the sport past the actual fights themselves. We know about the inner workings of some, promotional companies, things like that. We discuss those things, but ultimately we're fans of the sport and we treat the fighters more like, on a human level. Of course, we have that common ground of loving the sport of boxing, but it's not just straight boxing talk completely on my
No,
show. I know you have a different mode of having conversations than the old media as well. I think we just overall are a new breath of fresh air in boxing right now, to be honest.
yes, of course, and it's a growing trend. You know, other content creators, certainly ones we know, their own brands are grown across, quite figuratively across the board, as far as popularity amongst the professional game. But it's it'll become known over the next year, next 2 years, just how much access that the new media will be able to give the fans never before seen. And it's up to us to keep that going, and to just open channels, like you said, open doors that lets these boxers just let them know, and they let you know just where they are mentally coming up for a fight. Like, for instance, in 2 weeks, hopefully, Remy, you'll be there with me, and I'll be having an interview, hopefully, fingers crossed. Made my day. If people who follow me, my tweets, know who I'm talking about. It's a landmark interview for myself for iBoxingHub in America, and yeah, you'll be with me, Remy. And this type of platform will give boxers that freedom to express themselves, and you get the picture, because it's the old stream media. You get, oh, this guy's fought this how many times. You get the record, you get the weight, you get a brief, maybe a 10-minute interview before the fight. Oh yeah, I feel great, all the rest of it. Nowadays you get a much different picture. You get more insight, weigh-in press conferences, weeks in up to the social media videos. They give themselves a lot away nowadays, and that gives you even more clues. Where you say, Remy, compared to the old days?
Well, I think we do just in generally have we have the the blood. It's a gift and a curse, I would say, honestly. It's for us and for the fighters, because the gift of it is we have more access, right? It's simpler to get in contact with them. They have different modes of communication they have to use to have different ways to outreach their fans. So I think now we can reach out to them, but also, you have the trolls, you have the incels, the people who do, so it's like rabid fandom online right now. We almost have like civil wars within boxing, with every promotion, with different sets of fans, stuff like that. So it's a lot of different hoopla going on in boxing now due to social media. So I would say I attribute it to that mainly. And then with us, we're able to like bridge the gap a lot quicker and easier too. I think it's that simple sometimes.
Yeah, because certainly from my day, all you had promoters wise is there's a fight on, my man's going to win, blah, blah, blah. Papers, newspapers, and tabloids across the spectrum. Now it's and I've never heard of fans having fallouts with guys in pubs and clubs or anything like that over promoters. It seems that they take a lot of the limelight away from the actual boxes themselves, and then wonder why they can't sell them. Is there a grain of truth in that, Remy?
Well, I would say now it's kind of the fighters have more of an onus to do that per se. The promoters can't really do that, honestly. I think that now the fighters have to do things like what they're doing. That's why they need us more than we need them. And essentially the promoter's job is to put them in situations where they are on platforms to get the certain amount of attention they need come fight night when it's time to perform. But other than that, the in between, they're fighting probably 2 times a year. Some of the top prospects are fighting 3 and 4 times a year early in their career. But as soon as their purses go up, they're not going to be on TV as much. They're going to be fighting once, twice when they become champions. Especially, they might fight once a year, sometimes twice a year. Especially if they're a fighter who is like, supposed to be in marquee matchups. So I think now it's kind of different strokes for different folks for every fighter. It's always kind of been like that, no matter what the promotional companies had to deal with as far as marketing, whether it was through cable or pay-per-view or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's an element of danger to be added into that part, if you like, Remy, when you've got promoters who are quite willing to let social media do the work for them. Eddie Hearn's very good at manipulating social media and manipulating the fans online to get engagement going between Queensberry Matchroom. See, these promoters, they get a sniff. When they get a sniff of competition, whether it be through the boxes, whether it be through themselves or people that are close to them, they will, get that grip bone between the teeth and they just won't let go. And you've got to understand that that's their job. But I feel that new media will be doing a lot of promoting for them through engagement on Twitter, on Instagram, and getting the fans to do half the work for them, but for no reward. So that's the only thing on that sense, because then we are overexposing the boxers. We're overexposing, the promoters. So what we get used to then is, it becomes the norm. Now, you're going to hear from Eddie Hearn every 2 or 3 days. You're going to hear from, Queensberry, DAZN, BBC. They'll put out all these, tweets and sometimes instigatory type, they'll instigate an argument, they'll instigate a debate. And that's the great thing about Twitter and social media, just to round off this opening topic. And yeah, Remy, we've got too much to look forward to get stuck in the mud with that. Well, look, we have just had a good month of boxing. We had our Undisputed. We've just had the 5v5. We had Heaney at the end of April. What's the news on Heaney up to this point, Remy? You're a fan. You're quite close to the family. Have you heard anything about Heaney? Whether is he nailed on to fight Sandor Martin next, or is he looking elsewhere?
The Sandor Martin fight is looking like most likely the possibility. I haven't really spoken with anyone regarding that fight, just because a lot of people right now are looking at what's going to happen with the Ryan Garcia situation. I've been kind of getting most of my intel about anything regarding Devin about that, because the situation with Ryan has gotten so complicated now. And to be quite honest with you, from what my sources are telling me, bro, it's like almost 100% positive he's not going to be able to prove that the batch that he provided was contaminated, or anything of the sort. Apparently, he has a guy that was giving him supplements for a weight cut, allegedly. Behind the scenes, this guy, is someone that has kind of openly spoken about being, tied to these things, and he's went on other platforms. So, I'll let people do their digging into that, but for the most part, it's not looking really good for that circumstance. And I think they're waiting for a bit more things to play out, but it would be looking like Sandor Martin would be the next logical move for him for sure.
Yeah, obviously, facts speak for themselves in this case, Remy. I'm just wondering at this point the impact on Haney's career moving forward. Will he wait for this debacle to be got out of the way, or will he continue moving forward and looking forward to his next fight, his next defence against his mandatory, who has stepped aside already, I believe. So, how should he, how should he approach this now? Should he just forget what happened with Garcia, let it go to the courts to decide, the the powers that be? Should he be moving forward now in a very, very positive manner?
Yeah, I think that's the only logical way for him to move forward, because the situation with Ryan Garcia it happened. People saw it. It happened. It's no way to people. He can't go flash the Men in Black little thing. He can't do that to everyone. So people are gonna still recognize that as a blemish on his record, regardless if the O is going. So he will have to get back in there soon, have a performance to make people forget about that against another top name opponent, or get that rematch with Ryan Garcia and prove that it was a fluke, prove that it could have been the weight cut, him having the disadvantage of actually having to make weight and things like that to prove that he's the better fighter. That would be the ideal thing for him to do going forward.
So you would actually want this rematch under the most extreme conditions of testing, etc., etc. And Ryan Garcia gets back, either gets down to 140 or invites Devin to fight at 147.
Random blood in urine would definitely be the most random blood in urine would definitely be he would have to do that. He would absolutely have to do a random blood in urine. If he doesn't do that, he put himself in a terrible situation. Random blood in urine for sure. And that's the thing about it. That's why I don't understand why people blame him for being cautious about a rematch, because at this point we don't know what Ryan's capable of. And the way if I'm a fighter who's just dealt with a guy popping dirty and the public perception is like pretty much against me, my mind I couldn't compute a situation where I'm like, okay, if I risk fighting this guy who got away with cheating me essentially the first time, if I fight him again and I lose, like I take the L again in a bunch of ways. And what if he were to pop dirty again? What if he were to be smarter this time and have another way to, it's just crazy. So I think it would be a very noble thing of him in general to consider a rematch, let alone actually go through with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just go through a couple of these messages here, Remy. Jams Boxing Chat. He says, who wins out Adrian Broner and Cobb tonight, fellas? AB was the man a while back, Floyd's protege, but has he got anything left, Remy?
Well, it's hard to say. In his last couple fights, he went up against guys who had never fought anywhere near the level he has, and he didn't look exactly dominant against them. And the worst part about it is now with someone like Blair Cobbs, who is like for any circumstance where he could be a live dog, like Adrian Broner of Prime would probably, he would beat Blair Cobbs easy. Blair Cobbs is not on Prime Adrian Broner's level whatsoever.
No, absolutely agree.
Given, not even 2 months ago, I saw Adrian Broner with almost like a beer belly. So,
yeah, that's a crazy transformation.
He lost
crazy
it pretty
transformation. And of course, we've seen the video in the gym. Have you seen that where Blair Cobb said, "When were you a champ?"
The champ is here. The champ is here. Woo! Woo!
He's on that Ric Flair there. Oh, whoa! I can't do it myself. But, Blair Cobbs looks very confident there. But for me, that was some good selling. But, the promoters there and that. Right, Jams, what we got here? He says, I can't see the rematch. No, too much has gone on for me. Devin needs to move on and get his own career back on track, in my opinion. Absolutely correct. Cobbs was taunting him from ringside. Ric Flair it up. Yes, absolutely, Jams. Absolutely. He looks great now, says iBoxingHub, Al Heyman. Yeah. I was very impressed with that transformation, I have to say. And you can see the live fight tonight on YouTube, I do believe. Or is it Triller TV, ESPN? I'm sure it's one of them you can get on. Right, want to move on now, Remy. Deontay Wilder, Bomb Squad. What's fucking going on there, mate?
I haven't really gotten extremely into the situation itself. Were you speaking regarding his recent issue or the fight with Zane?
No, his recent issue. He has been. He's got a restraining order placed upon him by his girlfriend. I don't know when she's done it. Was it fight week? I'm not too sure, but it's come out after the event now, after the fight, and he's got himself in seems a bit of trouble on the domestic level. And now we get a lot of boxers being accused now of domestic violence. How much of a problem do you see it in boxing, and not just in this country, not just America, but around the world? Dimitri Bivol has been accused of domestic violence. So it's not just Westerners, if you like. How much of a problem is it to the value, to the stock, moving forward, going into negotiations for fights?
I think it's more of a bigger issue to maybe like the mental health of boxers and people kind of taking a closer look at what they could be going through as far as head trauma. I've always kind of wondered how much goes into these fighters getting cleared for fights, how they are after their careers, the people around them, how much do they actually care about the person that's pretty much fighting for their life, fighting for their livelihood, and to help those around them. How much do they put into making sure these guys have the right financial advisors, making sure these guys make good investments, making sure these guys are protected from leeches and vultures who would try to steal money from them or put them into faulty situations where they know they're bad investments and things like that. So I take that into account as well, just because and it's not to in any way, shape, or form make light of or diminish domestic violence, because that is a very, very prevalent thing nowadays, and it's really disgusting because it's two parts of it. One aspect of it is you don't really. I've always been taught to not try to put myself in between lovers, right? Like you will get in the way of a lover's quarrel, and it might could end in you being the one, getting the shit into the stick. So it's best to sometimes like assess situations, case by case. And, of course, I'm not one to judge, but I
Honest
believe that
Mary,
a
of
lot of
course.
fighters have violent situations in general in boxing. I think it's a mental health thing that needs to be looked at as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, as you quite rightly say, uh, who knows what's going on in a man's head that drives him to snap like they do. Hopefully, it's not the peds, because that seems to be an issue for some boxers, especially with anger. But this problem goes back decades. It's not just now. And yeah, he's just one of many now who's gone through uh, such uh, such times. Let's hope it all gets solved. Everybody's happy at the end of the day, and they all can move on. Talking of moving on, Remy, very quickly, I want to touch on the PBC situation. Another couple of boxers have left in the last 2 weeks. One yesterday to top rank. Can't remember his name now.
See,
Sounded
look, you
Russian.
can't even. Yeah, I was gonna say you can't even remember his name. Neutral. Vito.
Melanicki, that's it.
Vito
Vito
Neutral.
Melanicki. So, are they changing? Are they changing the structure of the company right before our eyes, in hiding in plain sight?
At this point, anything's on the table. I'm not exactly sure what would be the purpose of having a lot of these younger fighters. To be honest, if you don't really know whether you have a model to advance their careers from the ground up. So that's the only thing I can attribute it to. I'm wondering if they're just looking to kind of be a platform or a vehicle for more seasoned stars, or the guys that they have now. They're kind of cultivating them, and they're trying to maybe separate themselves just from Mayweather Promotions. Even a part of it seemed possible to me too, because on one of my spaces I had with Jahan Ingram and Jalil Hackett, he spoke about a point in time where Mayweather fighters were supposed to be fighting on some PBC cards, and they ended up fighting basically swing bouts, and they were taking the PBC stickers and banners off of everything by the time the Mayweather Promotions fighters were fighting. So it was something crazy, going on behind the scenes. There also was a situation where Floyd Mayweather scratched out the PBC aspect of a banner he created with Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis when they were having their back and forth on the internet, on Twitter and Instagram. He scratched out Gervonta Davis's promotional company, and he scratched out Amazon Prime PBC. So I'm thinking Floyd Mayweather and PBC aren't in the best standing right now, because Carmel Moden was supposed to be on some dates, He hasn't gotten on those dates. You had guys like Jahan Ingram and Jaleel Hackett constantly saying they were promised dates and they weren't given dates. So, something's definitely going on.
Yeah, because there's talk now of Leonard Araby stepping down as CEO of Mayweather Productions. That signals for me the end of TMT, unless Floyd start and does it all himself. Who knows at this point? Right now, it's nearly time. By the time the next hard talk happens, the Tank fight will have happened next weekend. Frank Martin, Remy. Now, from let's see from a UK point of view, what can Frank possibly bring to the table to actually have a chance of winning against Tank tonight, next weekend, sorry, where he's got a 95% knockout rate, Tank. Frank Martin is not a great knockout much, and he's had some very good knockouts, I'll give him that. But he's a more of a purer boxer. There's a scary prospect for Devin Haney should he fight Tank 8 from 9, where Devin Haney hasn't had a knockout for a number of years now. That fight, do you regret it hasn't happened now, Remy? Tank and Haney.
Well, not exactly. I think now, to be quite honest, regardless of the outcome of the Garcia fight, given all of the
Yeah.
PD situation and things like that have happened since, even including the 3 pounds, right? It all gave credence for people to still have faith in the Devin beating Tank and there being a reason specifically that Ryan was able to beat Devin. So I think that matchup is still on the table. Devin does have to work back to just get that taste out of everyone's mouth. But other than that, I think that's still a big fight. Devin and Ryan were able to kind of reach another plateau with that fight, with their stardom. So I think now there's just going to be a lot more eyes on those weight classes in general. Those weight classes have a lot of movement. From 135 to about 147 is going to be a lot of money to be made for those guys.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Obviously, Tank next weekend. What's your prediction, Remy, for that fight?
I'm really looking at it like this. I would say it's 59-41 Frank. And I give Frank such a good chance, and I'll give 26% of that to how confident he is. And I'll give 15% to the actual ability I believe he possesses to beat Tank. And I'll say that to say, I think Frank is missing certain things that he needs in his toolbox to beat Tank. And I'm not picking Tank because it's the low-hanging fruit. I'm picking him because I feel like the experience gap is I need to see. I would have needed to see Frank. This one attribute would have given him a better chance in my mind. If I seen in his previous fights a gear where he was able to how can I say it, with Artem, for instance, he just dogged it out, right? I didn't see him exploit the things that Artem did worse than him. I think he had a fork in the road with Artem where what he usually does didn't work, and he was like, okay, I'm just going to turn it up another gear and go through him. I didn't see outboxing. I didn't see him outskill him. So I think now with Tank, I'm not sure if he'll be able to avoid Tank's onslaught an entire 12 rounds. And I don't think that he'll be able to mix it up enough to confuse Tank.
Very good. Now, if Al Heyman in the back there can find the picture for me of Tank versus, I'm going to tell you a wee story. Tank versus Flying Man.
I do believe he's a live dog, though. I do believe he's a live dog.
Let me tell you my dream, right? I was on a space the night before, and obviously it was still running through my mind. And I had a dream. And Al Heyman, if you can find that picture, when he raises Tank's hand, Fight Martin's hand, I was standing at the back of the auditorium. I was there watching Tank and Frank Martin. And what I got was a war. And the gear that you're talking about came in round 6. There was not much in it. And then Tank from round 3 to round 6 was smashing Frankie everywhere. Everybody thought he was going to go down. Right? Round 6 to round 12, it's all Frankie Martin. It's like he just switched off worrying about Tank. And it was just a masterclass for him. And my dream, Frank Martin won on points. Split decision. And I haven't forgotten it. So it sticks in the mind. It's stuck there now. And I tell you, it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. But I just hope we get a good fight. I hope we get a fantastic card. David Benavidez, Ivan Gvozdyk. Benavidez going for 175. Title ambitions. If he wins this well, which a lot of people are giving them very good chance. Although Gvozdyk is not food by any means. So we got that to look forward to. Remy is obviously you're going to be doing your thing next week for it. So have you got Benavidez to comfortably beat Gvozdyk and then look for a unification, or should he wait for Canelo for 168? What do you think?
I think he should have waited for Canelo in the first place. I kind of didn't understand this Gvozdyk fight, but in general now, if he's going to campaign at 75, I do like it. It's a tough out for his first fight at the weight. I do think that everybody's underestimating Gvozdyk. If David is to dominate Gvozdyk, that is going to be extremely impressive. It's going to be very impressive. And people forget that Gvozdyk was a favorite to beat Beterbiev when they fought. I think people forget Gvozdyk comes from that Ukrainian Olympic team with Denis Baranchyk, Lomachenko, and Usyk. They were a very dominant bunch, and I think that he's a well-schooled fighter. So, and he's the same size as David. So we're gonna get to see him against someone his size, pretty kind of for the first time, with his skill level. So let's see how that plays out. If David is who we think he is, he will come out victorious regardless. But I do think that everybody's underestimating Gvozdyk in this fight. I think everybody's overlooking him. So it should make for a great fight.
It's certainly true that Gvozdyk will be the biggest guy that he's ever come up against. Albuga, Frank is good, well-rounded fighter. He's just not as good as Tank, like Cody from Final Fight. Albuga says, I watched Gvozdyk get knocked out by Beterbiev in Philadelphia. Surprised he's back in the ring. Well, that was 3 years ago. I think he's recovered by now. Gvozdyk is a tough motherfucker. Could easily end the David hype train. I don't want to believe that he will, but definitely could. And Albuga finishes off with Gvozdyk was doing well against Arta, but you could hear Arta's punches throughout the arena. It was crazy. No bloody doubt at all. But that's Arta Beterbiev, to be fair. David is he's unproven at 175. Gvozdyk is actually bigger than him that you touched on, Remy. So you've got one. It's safe to assume that David will be handing out all his boxing skills rather than look for a knockout in this fight, because them Ukrainians, they're tough sons of bitches. And, as my geography lesson will show you at the end of the show. Right, so, yes, Tank, when he fights and beats Frank Martin, as the world expects, there was talk of him renegotiating a fight with Heaney after that, because I think the writing was on the wall after he was tweeting about Heaney after that fight. I think Tank fancies himself against Heaney now at 140. What do you say to that, Remy?
Most definitely. I think a lot of fighters, I don't think a lot of fighters in general, I won't say just Tank, sometimes they wait for fighters to have tough outs against fighters just to see what they believe they measure up against, right? So I think him fighting Ryan and losing does make Tank more confident in the matchup, whether he says he was going to take the fight regardless or not. For sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to the chat here, we got our booger. Oh no, we've done that one. Big up Mr. Styles in the house. The madman from Canada, the grizzly bear. He fights mooses. Be careful of him. Mr. Styles 619. He's a good boy. Big up to you, sir. As is everyone in the chat. And if you're just coming across this show for the first time, like and subscribe. Let's get iBoxingHub to 1,000 subscribers. That's when the real action and multi-programming will come, and all for the benefit of us all. Right, moving on now towards the last couple of subjects before the end of the show. We've got some fights coming up. Obviously, you know about Blair Cobbs tomorrow. We've got Michael Hunter's fighting tomorrow. Chris Billam-Smith, Chris React for a UK fight there. Who else we got? I've heard Eddie Hearn's trying to make Boots versus Gyasov for his first fight under the Matchroom banner. Vargas Figueroa has been bounded about as well. I've got a moth. And of course, there's the tweets that I had today was Luis Ortiz, Virgil Ortiz rather. Get my names mixed up. Virgil Ortiz could be fighting Patrick Teixeira, is it? Teixeira, something like that. That's a good fight. But one bit of information we had as far as Riyadh season is concerned, bit of news there. Usyk versus Fury did 1.5 million buys, Remy. Does that make Alexander Usyk the new face of boxing in 2024?
I think given his age, it would be a bit late in the game to say such, just because I don't think I think the only person he's probably capable of doing that with now is AJ or Fury, maybe Wilder. And with those matchups, where do you go from there? I don't think a fight like Opatai or anything like that at cruiserweight would do that. So it might have been just the situation itself for Undisputed. It might have been a one-off. We would have to kind of get more of a good feel for that in his next bout.
The figures released from the Zone and GEA sort of indicated that the total income for that event was around the 100 million mark, but costs were around 120 million mark. So he's throwing money at it. He's not can profit at this stage, Remy. So, August the 3rd, Crawford Madrimov headlining that card. The return of the pound for pound number 2 in my number 3 in my eyes. Neutrals Corner does his own pound for pound, and based on activity, I don't do inactive pound for pound. If you haven't fought in a year, you're not in my list. Simple as that. So just go leave that up, please, Al Heyman. Let's go through them fights. We've got, who is it? Pitbull Cruz up against Jose Valenzuela. Andy Ruiz, Jarrell Miller, obviously Martin Bacoli, Jared Anderson, David Morrell, Kaladzic, and Andy Cruz versus Antonio Moran. The more I look at that card, Remy, the more it's impressing me. You've got Pitbull Cruz, 140-pound champion, up against a guy, Jose Venezuela. He's coming up in weight. For him, that's a massive fight. But the one I'm actually intrigued about here is the Andy Ruiz, Jarrell Miller, Big Baby Miller, against the hard banging Andy Ruiz, who has, to be fair, he's lost a hell of a lot of weight. What are you saying? You there, Remy? Oh, appears we've lost Remy for a minute here. He should pop himself back. But certainly, if we go back to that card, there's some fascinating matchups there. David Morrell, looking forward to that 175 encounter against Kaladzic. Obviously, Martin Bacoli and Jared Anderson. Now, this could be a hopeful night for Jared Anderson because Martin Bacoli can bang. And Jared Anderson, with his chin as dodgy as his after that Charles Martin fight, this could be an early night. It could well be an early night, and could be a bad night for young Jared. For me, he'll need to move a little bit more than he has been in his previous fights. Right, we're coming to the last segment of the show. If Al Heyman can put up some of my photos from what I sent in there before today, and we'll do the news according to Neutral. I was asked today to do a geography test, and all I can think of is I can't name names, but I know where people come from. So if you look at up the top of the map, you got tall cunts there from Sweden and Norway, grumpy ones from France. There's some sunny cunts there in Spain. Always you got the good weather. Some Italian pizza. But yeah, this tickled me on that, and I absolutely think that's hilarious. Maybe you don't. In other news today, Ryan Garcia, looking 10 years' time, not the happiest of men once he's fallen from grace. In other news, we have concerns that Bob Allen has lost his sight as he now thinks his wife is Inui and using him as a walking stick. And yes, just some light-hearted stuff there. Jake Paul has convinced Mike Tyson to fight in November. What can I say about that? I don't know. We'll leave that for another time. Taylor Serrano 2. Amanda Serrano. Maybe she's leaving the hair gel behind this time from the locker room. But all eyes are on Tank next week, ladies and gentlemen. He's the big star in America. He sells it. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And that's why he's so popular. Because you don't get other boxers doing what he's doing. He's a funny guy. I like Tank. He makes me laugh at the press conferences. He's got one of them winning smiles. Remy, are you there, son?
Yep.
Yo, you're back. That's great stuff. Yeah. So, Remy, just tell everybody about your socials, where they can get you. And please, if you haven't already, get onto Remy's Corner Talk, Boxing Talks. Like and subscribe to his Twitter, and you'll get all the latest on there. Remy, on you go, mate.
Yeah, at WSB Remy. You can see it here, right there at WSB Remy is my login for X and on Instagram, and I have my link trees in both of those, so you can always click and follow me across all social platforms on TikTok and YouTube as well.
Fantastic stuff, Remy. Fantastic. Thank you once again, as always, for coming through the Neutral's Corner on iBoxingHub's hashtag Hard Talk USA. I'm sorry my other guests couldn't be with us tonight for one reason or another. Things happen in real life. It happens. And yes, no problem. We'll get you another time. But listen, Hard Talk USA, 2 weeks time at Remy. Be here with me. It's a very special interview of a very well-known boxer. Not going to say who it is right now, of course, because it's not locked in. So that'd be daft. But thank you once again, Remy, for joining iBoxingHub in partnership with our pro sponsors, D-Rock Apparel. Check out the website, like and subscribe. If you like any of the stuff in the catalogue, then help yourself to a 40% discount by putting iBoxingHub 24 into the box and enjoy that. I'm Neutral. This is Hard Talk USA. Thank you for joining. See you next time.
It's another bang. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. I start my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flips me a back, but so it's another